It's Mo. It is July and it's time to do my readathon recap. So every month I do a little video, which is mostly for me, but partly for you, and it is a recap of all the books that I read for readathons within the prior month. So this is June's readathon recap. In these readathon recaps, I also talk about readathons that are coming up, readathons that have just passed, or readathons that I want to make note of, because one of the aims, one of the goals of these videos is so that at the end of the year and at the end of subsequent years, I will have a long list of all potential readathons that you could join, divided by month or season or time that they are put out, so that you can refer to this list and be able to find readathons. So new readathons that I found out about are Janellathon, which I did participate in. This ran from June 26th to July 7th. This was a readathon to honor Janelle from Too Fond of Books, who sadly passed away recently. But I think that this would be a good one to maybe read from every year and could become a kind of memorial readathon, which I think would be really interesting. A readathon that I found out about that's going on in July that I'm not participating in is BookTube at War, and so this is a time to read books about war, any war, the world wars or any other wars that went on in the world, or books that surround war. One that comes to mind that is probably a good one to read is Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. Also, I found out about Book Trek, which was going on in June, July, and August. This is 3 months to read books about Star Trek or having to do with Star Trek. These can be nonfiction books, these can be fiction books, these can be canon books, these can be adaptations of the screenplays, anything to do with Star Trek. It can be any of the Star Treks as well, so it can be the original series or any one that you identify with and enjoy. I would really like to participate in this. I think it being 3 months long, with the only prompt being that you have to read at least one book within those 3 months, is a little too broad for me, because I was like, oh, let's do it in July, and now it's July and I haven't done it yet. So hopefully I will participate in this one. A reminder that Garb August is coming up in August, and this is going to be really fun. You should check out Ollie's introduction video to Garb August 2023. On to the readathons that I participated in June. I always participate in TBR Spin. In June, my TBR Spin book was Mr. Wilson's Cabinet of Wonders by Lawrence Welcher. This is a nonfiction book about the author finding a museum and becoming so interested in it that he wrote a long article and did a lot of research on it. The idea of Wonder cabinets and how they have existed throughout time and how they still exist in present day. Now, this is present day in 1999 or 1995, but I do think they still exist in our modern day as well. I always do a vlog of my TBR Spin book, so I will leave the vlog listed down below. I also always vlog my Savage prompts, which are prompts that Simon Savage and Louise Savage have made one for every month of the year. In June, the prompt was to read a book based on outfits, and I unfortunately didn't participate in this one yet, but that's why I do them a couple of months grouped together, so that I have time that I can extend the prompts. So I have one vlog out for the first 3 months of the year, and then I also have another vlog for March and April, or for April and May, so I definitely suggest checking those out, and I will link them down below. In June, I wanted to participate in June on the Range, which is a time to read Westerns. I ran out of time to read some of the books that I had wanted to, though, and ended up only reading 310 to Yuma by Elmore Leonard, but I'm glad to have gotten at least one book in. At the end of the month, I also found out about Janellathon, which was a readathon to honor Janelle of Too Fond of Books. Her friends on BookTube decided to make a readathon honoring her. The prompt for this was to read any book that reminded you of Janelle. Those could be books that you were recommended by her, that you recommended her, that you both enjoyed. For me, my biggest takeaway from Janelle's channel was mysteries. That's kind of what I bonded with her on, and so I wanted to read a Miss Marple book, and I ended up reading A Pocket Full of Rye, which is the 7th in the Miss Marple series. Janelle loved Agatha Christie, and she had a whole huge Agatha Christie map. It was really cool, so I definitely suggest checking out her channel. Since June is Pride Month, I was reading books for Pride Month. I read Beyond the Gender Binary. This is a nonfiction about looking beyond the gender binary. I read Darius the Great is Not Okay by Adib Karam. This is a queer YA book that I really enjoyed. I actually have a queer YA reading vlog where I read this and Felix Ever After. I read Felix Ever After in April for Trans Girl April, but I was vlogging at the time and combined it with this book as well, so you can see that. I will leave that listed down below. I also read Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, which is a horror book about a woman returning to her family home as her mother is dying, and our main character is not straight. It doesn't say what kind of queer she is, but also Sarah Gailey is a non-binary author. I also read some books that were by, as far as I know, non-queer authors, but had queer rep in them. So Malibu Rising had queer rep in it, Acceptance had queer rep in it, and Station 11 had queer rep in it. I really wanted to read more for Pride, but I have been trying to be a little more gentle, a little more relaxed with the readathons I'm participating in and not be so focused on it so that I can mood read a little bit more so I don't get into any reading slumps. So I ended up reading quite a few with queer rep or by queer authors. So that was my June readathon recap. Let me know what readathons you participated in June. Always let me know any readathons that you love, that you have participated in, that you're going to participate in, that are coming up, that are past, anything that you can think of so that I can add them to my big, long, comprehensive readathon list, which you will find in the description box below. The way that I suggest using that list is by going to the readathon that's mentioned and then taking that and plugging it into the YouTube search and searching by recent. That way you get the most recent iteration of that readathon. You can find out when it was going on, you can find out who participated in it, you can find out different TBRs or when it's coming up. When possible, I try to also add a creator or an announcement video, but I can't always do it. That was my readathon recap for June. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!